primary schools in the country, we have kept that promise. In the health sector, we promised to upgrade our public hospital facilities. Prior to 2013, only 4 referral hospitals had such equipment. 4 years later, through the Innovative Managed Equipment Service Program, I am pleased to say that 92 hospitals across all counties have now been equipped with modern diagnostic equipment. I have, for example, the uplifting story of Jackson Wamai, a 28-year-old secondary school teacher in Murang'a. He was diagnosed with kidney failure 5 years ago. He used to travel twice a week to Nairobi for dialysis at Kenyatta Hospital. He was almost dismissed by the Teacher Service Commission for absenteeism. Today, thanks to the upgrade done at Murang'a Level 5 Hospital, he now travels 20 minutes for his dialysis sessions and is able to properly serve his students. We have kept that promise. In 2013, we guaranteed the provision of free primary health care for expectant mothers. Today, we have doubled the number of expectant mothers delivering under the care of skilled medical attendants to over 1.2 million by the end of 2016. We have kept that promise. In 2013, we promised to increase access to affordable health care. Today, we have increased the number of Kenyans with access to outpatient medical care through the National Hospital Insurance Fund from 3.8 million in 2013 to 5.8 million in 2017. These include people like Caleb Balozi Omino, a farmer in Kisumu County who lives with a disability, and through the government-sponsored program, he was able to become a member of NHIF. In 2014, Caleb's daughter Esther fell ill and was admitted to hospital with typhoid a few weeks before she was to sit for her KCPE exams. It was through the intervention of NHIF that she received treatment, made a full recovery, and was able to successfully complete her exams. Esther is now in Form 2. And today I have also invited Caleb, who is here amongst us today as living proof. And I'm happy to see that he managed to make it here. In 2013, we promised to bring service delivery closer to every Kenyan. Today, we have transformed service delivery through the Huduma initiative. We have 45 Huduma centers in 41 counties, providing 66 different government services to over 40,000 Kenyans every day. We have kept that promise. Further, through the innovative digital platform eCitizen, over 3 million Kenyans have successfully paid to access 197 different public services. These are services like passport applications, visa applications, driving license renewals, vehicle registration, business registration, company searches, applications for certificates of good conduct, amongst others. This is a promise that we have kept. In 2013, we promised to put in place incentives to support the role of youth as drivers of innovation in this country. After 4 years, Kenya shillings 11 billion has been accessed by close to 1 million young Kenyans. We celebrate the success of the fund through stories of young Kenyans like Irene, Kaleye, based in Embakasi here in Nairobi, who start up, plan, believe, groceries, won a contract to supply vegetables to Kenyatta University. She received a loan of 1.5 million from the fund to bridge her cash flows, which enabled her to fulfill her contract, thereby keeping her promise and we keeping ours. Despite teething problems, the National Youth Service Program, through the recruitment of cohorts in Kibera, has changed lives. They joined the SACCOs established, and in Kibera alone have managed to save over 123 million shillings, and this money has been utilized to start businesses and provide hope and gainful employment in Kibera. In 2013, we promised to provide social protection to our most vulnerable members in society. Today, our National Safety Net Program, Inua Jamii, covers 720 persons, up from 220 in 2013. The budget for this program alone has also been increased by 600% to 18 billion shillings. These are the beneficiaries, or they are beneficiaries like Mohammed Noor Ado from Bularama village in Garissa Township. He used to live a destitute life with his wife and 7 children. After enrolling in Inua Jamii in 2015, and he received his first payment of 20,000 shillings, which he used to purchase goats. Today, with the continued support of the program and his livestock trading business, he and his family are able to live a dignified life. Fellow Kenyans, I can go on. These are just some of the promises that we have fulfilled during our term. We acknowledge that the journey of transformation is one that we must walk with our people. And I am therefore pleased to inform you that in the coming weeks, my administration will launch a public information platform to share in much more detail the government's delivery agenda during the last 4 years. Fellow Kenyans, let me now turn to the state of our economy. At the macro level, all indicators are healthy. Our gross domestic product has expanded at a strong average annual growth rate of 5.9% since 2013. This against a global average of 3%. Our foreign exchange reserves have increased from 4.3 months of import cover in 2013 to 5.1 months of cover at the start of 2017. Our revenues from tax collections have increased from 847 billion shillings in 2013 to 1.2 trillion shillings at the end of 2016. The stable economic environment over the last 4 years has seen the cumulative addition of 2.3 million new jobs. From this perspective, the state of our economy is robust. Fellow Kenyans, in spite of this good macroeconomic performance, there are still, however, too many Kenyans who are struggling to make ends meet, to find jobs, and to support their families. Wananchi want to know what these economic indicators mean to their lives. They cannot relate to how GDP impacts on the price of unga, or what the stability of our currency means for them at the end of every month. Many of our citizens are wondering why their children are still struggling to find jobs. Others are worried that the government debt might be too heavy a burden for our economy to carry. Our SMEs are complaining that they do not have access to credit, in spite of the fact that the cost of credit in Kenya is the most affordable in the region after the capping of commercial bank interest rates in September of last year. Many Kenyans are frustrated at the seeming lack of progress in the fight against corruption. These concerns are legitimate, and there are questions that every citizen is entitled to have answered by their government. Addressing them is of utmost importance to me. So let me start by addressing the question of our public debt. Fellow Kenyans, our debt is about 50% of our GDP. Of that amount, less than half of it is in foreign currency. Our debt has grown almost proportionately to our GDP. Every year, since the start of my administration, we have consistently made adequate budgetary provisions to service the debt. I want to assure every Kenyan that at no point has the country been at risk of default or shown any inability to pay its creditors. Fellow Kenyans, that the borrowing my administration has undertaken, both from domestic and international creditors, has been solely to finance the most aggressive development agenda in Kenya's history. The evidence of the greatly expanded transport infrastructure, increased energy production, increased access to electricity, and improved security are plain for all Kenyans to see. As a responsible government, serious about creating jobs, we have to have the right environment to attract investment. That investment in turn will lead to jobs and an end to poverty. It will bring new economic opportunities across the country, especially to previously marginal areas, as I mentioned, Marsabit, Turbi, amongst others. I assure every Kenyan that all the funds borrowed will continue to be put to good use. Like a farmer who must sow their seeds before they can expect a harvest, our investment in infrastructure will be the seed that will produce the harvest of faster economic growth and more jobs for our people. Kenyans are ready and anxious for an economy that is world-class in attracting the investment that will turn us into a manufacturing powerhouse. My administration understands the scale of change our people need to improve their lives, and thus our aggressive investment. At core, let us remember that these investments are for Kenya's future. On the issue of access to credit for SMEs, it is unfortunate that the unintended consequence of capping of interest rates was a slowdown in lending by our commercial banks. This is an issue that concerns us and is one that I am actively seeking to resolve so that credit can start to flow again to the real drivers of our economy. Honorable members, the leaders of the world's most prosperous and powerful countries have come to visit Kenya. They came to witness a country on the rise and to engage with an administration that they believe shares in their vision of a stable and prospering global economy. We have discussed with them and agreed on joint measures to take in pursuit also of peace and stability. They have also been eager to ensure that their country's companies have access to an economy that they believe has a bright future. On my part, I have engaged them here at home and abroad to advance my administration's economic diplomacy strategy. From India, we have secured equipment and the expertise to establish a new cancer center at Kenyatta National Hospital. Additionally, this engagement with India has allowed us to give the farmers in semi-arid areas like Embu, Kitui, Mwingi, Makueni and Tharaka a ready Indian market of 1 billion people to which they can export beans, lentils and peas. We have strengthened our security and development relations with the United States, the United Kingdom, the European Union and Jordan. This has enabled us to markedly strengthen the capabilities of our security system in combating terrorism and transnational crimes and to continue adding to our development efforts. China has been a key partner in the transformation of our infrastructure, significantly the SGR, that has been completed in record time. By traveling to France, I did secure funding to undertake major water projects across the country. In addition, through the Kenya Private Sector Alliance and the National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, we have attracted many French companies to invest in Kenya's agribusiness. We have been able to develop new curricula in the automotive sector for our technical and vocational training institutes due to our engagement with the government of the Federal Republic of Germany. Japan is one of our most important partners. One of the areas of cooperation is the highly concessional funding we have gained to complete the Dongokundu bypass. Japan has also invested in our pioneering efforts to build tools to prevent radicalization and violent extremism. Our collaboration with the State of Israel, including our access to cutting-edge agricultural expertise and technology that can allow us to transform our agriculture in arid and semi-arid areas. Through the government of the Republic of Korea, we have received full funding for the construction of the Kenya Advanced Institute of Technology, the first anchor tenant of Konza Techno City. Through the EAC and the Northern Corridor Initiative, we have been able to improve the ease of movement of persons, the single network area for mobile telephony, the single tourist visa, and we have deepened regional integration. My administration has made private sector participation in all our international engagements a key pillar of our economic diplomacy. As a consequence, through the private sector, we have signed investment agreements with leading businesses from over 60 countries in 4 years. This has led to many multinationals establishing offices here in Nairobi and in other parts of Kenya. Since 2013, over 1,532 major companies from across the globe have set up shop here in Kenya. From VW in Thika to Wrigley's, who have invested more than 6 billion shillings in Machakos and are set to open a plant there in May of this year, and GZI, who have invested over 12 billion shillings in an aluminium can manufacturing plant at Sultan Hamud. This, honorable members, compared to less than 40 often quoted companies that have either relocated for corporate strategic reasons or downsized and closed for lack of competitiveness. To the members of the diplomatic community who have joined us here today and to their colleagues in their capitals, know this: your friendship is important to us. It is important to the Kenyan people who have always lived in peace with their neighbors and with a national consensus to do good in the world. We work hard for security within our country and are honest brokers in helping secure the peace for every country in our region that needs our help. We appreciate your support, both moral and material. You can all see that we are on a path to building a vibrant economy and a strong democracy. We want to take our relationship with you to greater heights of ambition and achievement in the future. Honorable members, fellow Kenyans, coming into government in 2013, we knew that eliminating corruption would be a journey on a rocky path. We started the journey by pledging to strengthen our legal processes to wage a successful war against economic crimes. Today, we have 90 special prosecutors for economic crimes in the judiciary. And the Chief Justice has established a special anti-corruption and economic crimes division of the High Court and has appointed 13 special magistrates to deal with anti-corruption and economic crime cases. In 2013, we pledged to make the necessary policy and legal changes to ensure that corrupt persons and companies would be barred from doing business with the government. We have kept our promise by enacting a modern and far-reaching bribery act, which I assented to late last year. I congratulate the captains of industry in the private sector who championed this initiative. In 2013, we pledged to pursue and freeze assets and proceeds of corruption and economic crimes. We have established institutions that give us the capability to trace and recover money and assets globally which have been stolen from the public. These include the Asset Recovery Agency, the Financial Reporting Center, and the new Investigations Department at the Kenya Revenue Authority, where I am pleased to report that successes are being reported. To date, approximately 3 billion shillings has either been recovered or preserved for recovery, a first in Kenya's history. These recovered funds will be used for social programs. For example, the recently recovered funds from the Smith and Usman case have been used for the purchase of ambulances. Going forward, we are creating a framework of how recovered funds will be used in a transparent and accountable manner. We have chosen an approach that prevention is better than cure. Honorable members, cash payments, inefficiency and delays in service delivery breed corrupt practices. We have therefore invested in making service delivery more efficient and accessible through Huduma centers, the e-Citizen, iTax, land registry services, and other digitized platforms. Indeed, following the establishment of the multi-agency team in November of 2015, we have changed the way our agencies coordinate and share information. What all these efforts add up to is an investment in the process, the capabilities and mandates that we require to take on this big challenge. Now, no agency can again claim, no agency charged with the responsibility in this fight can again claim or argue that it does not have what it needs to fight this battle. My expectation, and indeed that of millions of Kenyans, is that convictions of prominent thieves and fraudsters will be the proof that our measures have started to succeed. At this juncture, I would also like to thank our friends from the international community who have partnered with us and supported us in this noble effort. One of the proudest achievements, indeed, of my administration is in delivering honest exams in 2016. This was the first in many years, and it was a blow against corruption. The compromising of the exam system had favored those who can afford bribes to the disadvantage of honest and hard-working students from disadvantaged homes. It had allowed unqualified students to take university courses that they have struggled to master and led to unqualified professionals with a belief in corruption as a personal enabler. There is no corruption worse than that directed at our youth. Our bold reforms added to the far-reaching curriculum changes and insistence on the upgrading of educational standards will lead to more and better jobs for our youth. I want to congratulate the team responsible for delivering honest exams and commend them for bringing Jubilee's admission and boldness to their work. Honorable members, fellow Kenyans, allow me to address myself to one of the biggest challenges and indeed threats to our economy and national well-being. That is our public wage bill. Our wage bill threatens to destroy our development agenda as a nation. Today, the public wage bill stands at 627 billion shillings per year, amounting to 50% of the total revenues collected by government. This staggering amount is used to pay the salaries and allowances of 700,000 public officers, including those of us who are here today. In simple terms, 50% of all the money collected as revenue from the Kenyan taxpayer goes into the pockets of less than 2% of the country's total population. For the last 2 decades, there has been a spiraling of the wage bill, fueled by incessant strikes, go-slows, and outright neglect of duties. It has denied our citizens critical services, disrupted the normal functioning of our society, and adversely affected our economy. During my term, some unions have put pressure on the government to further increase the wage bill to unsustainable levels without the constitutional and mandatory input from the Salaries and Remuneration Commission. These are issues that need to be resolved by all of us soberly, because we are fast approaching the breaking point. Earlier today, I received the Salaries and Remuneration Commission, from the Salaries and Remuneration Commission, an interim report outlining the review of remuneration and benefits for state officers for the period 2017-2022. This report recommends, amongst other things and other measures, a rationalization of the salaries and allowances paid to senior state officers, public servants, elected officials, from MCA all the way to president. That will result in a reduction in salaries and allowances for those elected in August this year. President, and indeed also as a Kenyan, I fully support the recommendations of the Salaries and Remuneration Commission, and I call upon all of us to adopt these recommendations. Honorable members, I appreciate that the silent fear of every politician is ending their career in politics broke and destitute. This fear may have its foundations in our history, when our MPs and ministers would retire or lose their elective seats and thereafter wallow in poverty. Since then, however, as a country we must agree we have come a long way in addressing these fears. However, we must always remember that the calling of leadership is to serve, not to become rich through serving. As politicians, we must accept that our ever-increasing salaries and allowances have contributed to the unsustainable demands by other cadre within the public sector to increase their own remuneration at the expense of our people and the country's development agenda. It is therefore upon us as leaders to restore the principle of servant leadership by respecting the will of the people and supporting the work of the SRC. The SRC recommendations help to contain the overall wage bill. They will allow the SRC the leeway to review the salaries of all public servants at national and county levels with a view of improving the terms of those in the lowest cadre. These recommendations will allow us to pay more attention to our medical professionals, our teachers, our policemen, prison officers, our military, and many others who also need to receive adequate compensation for the services that they render. Most importantly, by so doing, we shall all be respecting the wishes of our own employers, the mwananchi of this country. Honorable members, with that said, let us now look into the future. We have established a firm foundation which can now be used as a springboard to accelerate the growth of our economy and provide jobs for our youth. The path to national wealth all over the world is clear. 50 years ago, many countries, especially in Asia, were even poorer than we were. They were weighed down by corruption and limited national visions. Yet we witnessed them accelerate their development by reforming their governance frameworks and drawing massive investments that built industrial economies that have delivered millions of jobs to their citizens. Honorable members, there is no shortcut to matching their achievement. They also needed to build the same kind of foundation that we are currently putting in place. We are on a similar path, but we must run rather than walk along it because we do not have the luxury of time. And that is why I campaigned on a ticket of transformation. I knew all along that it was not enough to continue at the pace that we have been on for the past 50 years. We needed to fast track the building of the assets that would lead